Welcome to the My Fish Bites 12 Days of Christmas. This is day 2. And day 2 talks about turtle doves in the famous song. Again, we're going to look at the relevance of some doves or a dove in the Bible. And for this, we're going to go to Genesis chapter 8. Now, this is the story of when the earth was flooded because man was so evil and all he thought about all the time was evil. And God's heart must have broken seeing all the evil on the earth. And I'm sure God's heart is breaking today for all the evil on the earth. But God kept what the Bible calls a remnant. So that's a group of people who had stayed faithful to him. And that was Noah. And God had Noah build an ark, of course. And then the whole earth was flooded. It wasn't just a local flood, it was the whole earth. And lots of evidence from cultures and geological evidence around the earth proves that there was a global flood. So we are at the end in Genesis 8, getting towards the end of the flood. And there Noah is sending out different birds to see if there is dry land. So he sends the bird out. And of course, if the bird returns, that means the bird can't find dry land. And if the bird would have stayed, that would have perhaps suggested to Noah that there was dry land. So he sent out in verse 8 of Genesis 8. Noah sent out a dove to see if the water had receded from the surface of the ground. But the dove could find nowhere to perch because there was water all over the surface of the earth, so it returned to Noah in the ark. He reached out his hand and took the dove and brought it back to himself in the ark. He waited 7 more days and again sent out the dove from the ark. When the dove returned to him in the evening, there in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. Then Noah knew that the water had receded from the earth. He waited 7 more days and sent the dove out again, but this time it did not return to him. And this speaks to me really clearly of God's promise. The ark, of course, is like a symbol of Jesus. So Noah and his family were safe in the ark. And if we are Christians, if we believe in Jesus, if we are in Jesus, so to speak, or if Jesus lives in us, that means we are safe. We are safe from the floods and all the evil of this world because God's promised us that we, even if we die physically, that we will be with God forever in heaven. God is faithful to his promises, and God's promises are absolutely true. One of the Psalms talks about the fact that God's promises, they've been tested. So God's promises are tested, and we know they're true. Noah was kept safe in the ark, and then when the waters receded, he sent out the dove. And the dove went out, and at first it couldn't find anywhere to land. Then the next time it came back with a leaf in its beak. Then the third time it went out again, and this time the dove didn't return, so Noah knew that there was dry land. God was faithful to his promises, but sometimes we wonder where God is, and we wonder what's happening. Maybe God's promised something to you. Maybe you're really asking God for something. You believe, and perhaps you've read the Bible, or people have said something to you, or you've had a word from someone that God has made you a real promise which you really feel deep down inside. And sometimes it seems to be slow in coming. It must have seemed slow for Noah in the ark. When are the waters going to go down? So he sent out eventually this dove. And the first time it came back, so again it didn't seem God's promise was happening. The second time it came back, but with a little leaf, an olive leaf in its beak. So there was a glimpse of God's promise being fulfilled. And the third time, when it didn't come back, Noah knew that God had fulfilled his promise. And the same is true for you. If God said something to you, he will fulfill it. He might do it in stages, but God is absolutely faithful and true. If God has spoken something to you, and we work and we believe him and we just keep faithful to him, even in the waiting, God will fulfill his promises.